Hey everyone, are you ready to simplify your budgeting? As somebody who's tried a lot of different budgeting techniques, I'm going to talk about the 50-30-20 rule of budgeting. I'm going to share tips and tricks on what it is and how to use it to achieve your financial goals. So let's get into it. All right, so the 50-30-20 rule, what is it? Basically, the 50-30-20 rule is breaking down needs, wants, and savings, or for some folks, debt repayment. So 50% of your money will go to needs, 30% goes to wants, and then 20% will go to savings and debt. That's it, high level. That's the core concept. And when we talk about this rule, we're talking about after-tax income. So the money that you take home. Now, there are some cases where that might vary with savings if you're using a 401k and things like that, but basically it's the money that you take home. This rule is popular with a lot of people because it's very simple and easy to understand. It was popularized by Senator Elizabeth Warren in her book, All Your Worth, and it's been around for a long time. All right, so first thing, 50%, the needs category. You should always address this one first. You're going to have to basically track your spending, probably for a few months, and try to look at which categories are going to be in your needs. These are going to be things like housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, healthcare, minimum debt payments. That would also be a need. So if you have some credit card debt or a loan or something like that, the minimum payment would be considered a need. All right. And you're going to have to, there's going to be some blurry lines, right, on some of these items. You're going to have to determine needs are things that you need to survive. You need to, so going out and getting a fancy meal, even though that might be the food that you need to eat, that's not actually a need. And we've talked about this before, right, in other budgeting videos. So one problem that you might run into is you might look at your needs and your needs might be more than 50% of your income. So right away, that's going to highlight a problem for you for this budget. So some things that you're going to need to do is look at maybe doing a side hustle, earning some extra income, or figuring out how you can reduce your spending. You need to audit and maybe think about downsizing or something like that in order to get that number down to a manageable level based off your income, right? So the number is going to be different for everybody. Everybody has different incomes, and whatever your number is what it is, and you may need to have to make adjustments to your income. All right, so then we're moving on to the 30%. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and smash that like button. It doesn't cost you anything. If you know someone else that could benefit from this topic, share the video with them. Now let's get back to it. The wants, discretionary spending, things that you just do by choice because you want to do it, right? That includes things like Netflix, your streaming services, Disney Plus, whatever your favorite is, right? Hobbies, going out to eat, restaurants, that is a want. We don't have to go out to eat. We can make our own food. Vacation, non-essential travel, you're not traveling for work or whatever. Unnecessary clothes, the list goes on, right? Even gym memberships could be considered the want. Going out for those lattes, all right? Everybody likes their lattes. If you're going out and spending $5 or $6 on a fancy latte, that's definitely in the wants category, all right? You want to be mindful and balanced about this category, and that's what the 30% rule is there for. It's there to help you put a control or boundaries around your spending, right? And you want to be careful. Again, the percentages are there to look at to make sure that you're not creeping into your needs budget with your wants budget. All right. So 30%, that's the general rule. And that's what we're trying to simplify this. All right. The last category, the 20%. Now, This is for building savings and paying down debt. So if you have debts that you're paying on with interest, it's very important that you work on those in addition to doing some saving. So if you have a bunch of debts, basically the savings that you're going to want to do is just going to be for an emergency fund. And I have a video about emergency funds, of course, that I will link. All right. You want to aim. And in that video, I talk about 3 months or 6 months and whether you should have that. So check that video out. I go into it in detail. All right. So once you have that emergency fund, then you're going to use this 20% for high interest debt repayment. So if you have credit cards, if you have any kind of high interest loans, student loans, things like that, we need to work on those. All right. So we're going to use this money for that. And then finally, for savings, the number one way that most people are using savings is through retirement savings or 401k. So that counts, even if it's getting deducted from your pay, especially if you're getting a 401k or something like that and your company is matching. I have a whole video about 401ks that I'll link, though that is part of the 20% as well. All right. And then finally, after all of that, then we're going to talk about other investments and savings and low cost index funds, high interest online savings accounts. These are the types of places that you want to spend that money. Right. So how do you do this? How do you get this implemented in your life, right? So we talked about after-tax income. That's what we were going to focus on. The first thing you're going to need to do is spend some time categorizing all the money that you spend. All right. So you want to keep track of your expenses. Usually 1 to 2 months is what you're going to need to keep track of. And then each of those expenses are going to fall into one of three categories. They're either going to be a want or savings, right? So you want to keep track of those. And so that way, then you can look at your total number and figure out what your percentages are. And are you over on the 50? Are you below on the 50? What is your situation? All right. And as your lifestyle changes, as your income changes, you're going to have to keep going back and looking at this and reevaluating the rule. So essentially, every time you're going to get paid, you're going to split up your pay into these categories. All right. So the pros and cons of this rule are, the first pro, obviously, is it's simple, right? It's just a simple percentage that everyone can go by. It's flexible. You can adjust it over time and you can adjust the percentage over time. As you earn more money, you may have more money to save. It covers all of everything that you need. It covers your needs, your wants, your savings, and it's really easy to track. Also, you're getting guaranteed savings, right? Because it's built into the budget. You're going to 20%, you're going to be saving, right? It just creates more disciplined money management for you. All right. There are some cons. Every system has some cons. It might be oversimplified. It may not capture every little nuance or of your budget. And also, it could be difficult for variable incomes. So if your income varies a lot, then it could be hard. Also, if you're somebody with a high amount of debt, very low income, it can be difficult, right? Because you need a lot more percentage of your income to spend on. I would recommend maybe just doing a $0 budget. I have videos on that as well. It does require discipline, as any budget does, right? So that might be a con also. It's something that you have to practice and it's something that you're going to have to work on. But the benefits really, I believe, outweigh the work, and you will have a lot less stress about your money if you're working from a budget, right? And you're staying on track. All right. Some tips to succeed are, you want to automate that savings. If you're contributing to a 401k and that money's being taken right out of your paycheck, that's great. Have money transferred or direct deposited directly into a savings account so you have that money going in there. Be mindful about your purchases. Make smart decisions about them. Don't just go out and just spend the money. You want to keep track of your spending all the time. All right. That's going to help you be successful. And by doing this, you're always going to know what your numbers are in advance, right? If you're doing the budget. So whether you're doing it monthly or weekly, you're going to know how much you're going to spend on each of these categories, right? Because you've broken it down and you've tracked it. If you're having trouble getting started on a budget, leave me a comment. I'm happy to respond to all my comments. If you're using some other type of budget or some other tools, please let me know. There's lots of apps and spreadsheets out there that can help with this. I'll leave some links in the description. But anyways, I hope that you can get started with this. I hope this is helpful for you. Also, I always appreciate it if you give me a like and you subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.